Hi, this is Sherry Sutton, and I know a lot of people are working at home right now remotely, and so I wanted to share some tips for effectively working at home. The first thing I will ask you is to consider your mindset. Are you working and you happen to be at home, or are you at home and you happen to be working? And the reason I ask you to consider that is because depending on how you feel, it really impacts how you create your daily schedule. So let's look at first things first. I want to look at what is your routine? Have you created a schedule? Do you have a to-do list? Have you considered your physical and your mental health? What distractions do you have? Have you taken those into consideration? And what is your expectation? Because for a lot of us, we really need to look at our expectation and see if it's still working. So let's talk about your routine first. What is your routine? Do you get up and take a shower? Do you have breakfast? Do you get dressed like you're going to work, like get ready like you're going somewhere? And do you consider your interactions, both internal and external? Like, what are you considering when you get ready? Because if you were working in an office, you would get up, get dressed, get ready, right? Eat your breakfast, get ready for your commute, and go. And so now that you're working at home, you want to create a routine that's just as recognizable for you so that when you get up in the morning and you start your routine, you know that you're going to work. And that's how you know it's the weekend because you won't do those same things. How about your schedule? Have you created a schedule? Schedules are so important. You want to set your hours of work for starting and stopping, right? You want to set your break times, you want to set your lunch time, and you want to communicate the schedule to everyone so that your team knows when you're on break and when you're not, and so your family knows when you're on break and when you're not. And so if you're able to communicate those, it's very helpful for everyone and you because you know when you're working and when you're on break. Also, it helps you to know when to shut the computer down. And that's such an important thing. A lot of people, when they work at home, wind up working a lot of extra hours because they don't know how to end their day. So, as part of your schedule, you need to say, I start at this time and I stop at this time, and I'll be back tomorrow at this time. And that will really help you feel like you're working and getting your work done. Now, part of working is that positive recognition. So, do you have a to do list that's going to help you do that? Is it something like you're writing down what you need to get done and then you're checking it off as you accomplish it? Because that's a big part of work as well. You want to feel like you're accomplishing things working at home and you want to have these celebrations so you can review your accomplishment and you can say, Yay, I celebrated. And I really suggest that you get creative on what that looks like. And so it could be a list that you check off, but it could be rocks that you move from one jar to another, or it could be moving your chair into different positions as you accomplish things. Maybe if you're accomplishing things that you really need to get done, you could stand up and have an emergency dance party. Whatever works for you, but make sure you build in these celebrations and these, check offs for things that you're accomplishing during the day because it's going to be important for you to realize how much you're getting done and how productive you still are. And you're going to have to find ways sometimes to reinforce yourself because you're not going to have the people around you to help you with that. And so, in that same light, what about your physical health? And so, we talked about taking breaks. When you take your break, are you getting up and walking around? You'll hear a lot about, sitting is the new smoking. And so, you want to make sure that just because you're at home, you're not just sitting in one spot all day. Take a little walk around your house, have a small water bottle, so you need to fill it up periodically through the day so that you'll make sure that you take that minute to stretch, walk around, and then sit back down. eating healthy. So that's very important always. And when you're at home, there's no different. So you want to make sure that you plan out some healthy meals and some healthy snacks that give you energy so that you really have the energy that you need to get through the day. And you'll want to get up and move and go for a walk. We talked about that. And stretch. Stretching is so important and it'll feel fantastic if you just stop and stretch. You could even set a little alarm on maybe your phone or your computer that reminds you, hey, it's time for me to stretch or it's time for me to get up and move. A lot of watches I know do that and apps do that today that will remind you. And if possible, if you could get outside and get some fresh air, it always feels great just to have a breath of fresh air. Even if you're just walking to your mailbox and back, a lot of times that can refresh you and it'll help your physical health, but it'll also help you really feel engaged in your work and like you're really contributing. And the same can be said of your mental health. So maybe you just need to stop and take a deep breath. Are you getting stressed out? Is something not working? Are you trying to work in a software program and you can't get it to save? Or you lost your data? A lot of times just taking a deep breath, holding it and releasing it will really allow you to recenter and then get back into what you're doing. For some of us, we don't have the same social interactions. And that's important as well because you want to make sure if you're having Zoom calls that you have the cameras up so you have some connection or that you're talking to your best friend during your break or that you're having some kind of social connection that makes you feel involved. The more of your coworkers you can stay connected with, I know there's lots of technology out there that can help with that, and that would be great. And work with your IT team if you have one to see what's available and what you can do and have these check-ins because they're so important. Even if you're just checking in to say, how's your day? How's your file count? How's your customer doing? How do you feel about everything? Just those check-ins will really make you feel great. And if you're having meetings, then you can really maximize your time on the meeting to have that. And for some people, a background music or sounds or something in the background, we do recommend that you not have words so it won't be as distracting. But if you could have some kind of background music, a lot of times that just gives you that, I don't know, soothing or relaxing feeling that can help. And so one thing it can help with is distractions. And so for each of you, you'll know the distractions that you face, but keep them in mind when you're starting the day, and it'll really help alleviate a lot of the stress when they happen. So electronic distractions, right? You might have your phone next to you and it beeps and buzzes. So maybe you turn it off when you're really focusing and working and then turn it back on when you're done. Or maybe you minimize the beeps and buzzes in your house so it won't distract you when you're working, and then you turn them back on at the end of the day. You know what distractions are there for you, and you know the ones that take your attention off of the tasks that you're doing. A lot of people I hear talking about pets and children. And the main things I hear about pets are dogs barking and cats jumping up on the keyboard or kind of taking over the camera. And so if those are going to be distractions for you, just plan for them. Maybe you want to have a little kitty treat, or maybe you put your kitty in another room while you're on an important call and then let it out during other times. And the same for your dog. Maybe for your dog, you have a treat and you have it sitting right next to you, or you put it in another room if you're on an important call. But you just want to plan in advance for your pets, and you want to make sure you remember your pets are getting used to a new routine too. So this is all different for your pets as well. And so it's just kind of adapting and planning for it. And same for your children. Your children have new routines. And so it's great to plan and talk to them in advance. I'm going to be on this important call during this time. So I'm going to give you these activities to do. And if you have a question or you need me, have a plan and tell them what they should do. Should they stand just outside of sight? Should they write you a note and give it to you? Should they text you? Like, what's the best way for them to communicate with you if they need to during that time? And if you have a plan, it'll be much less distracting and a lot nicer for everyone concerned. And then avoid activities that create anxiety. Like for a lot of people, they might be watching the news. For some people, it's calling their mom. For some people, it's, working on a specific task that they're doing. If you know these things are going to be distractions or they're going to get your mindset so that you're not able to focus, then avoid them while you're focusing on tasks and schedule them in at a later time. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is your expectation. What is your expectation? Is your expectation that you're going to get up in the morning, sit down at your computer, start working, have no distractions, be really, really productive, feel great about what you're doing, and just act like everything's the same as it was? If it is, then it might be that your expectation is what's causing you to not enjoy your time working remotely or to get frustrated. Because if our expectation doesn't match our reality, then a lot of times we could get upset. It might impact our mental health, right? We might be depressed or really not feel good about what we're doing, and it might impact our productivity that we're having at work. And so I really ask you to consider, what is your blueprint? What are your expectations? And could you level set those to be a great match for the reality that you have in a way that makes you feel good about what you're doing, feel like you're accomplishing things, checking things off your list, and being productive and effective at home? And if you can, I suggest that you just change it up a little. Be patient, be flexible, maybe be a little bit playful when you're creating this blueprint, and assume positive intent for everything that's happening around you, right? If you're assuming the best, then oftentimes you will really feel great about what's happening. So I challenge you to look at those blueprints, think about what that expectation is, really think about what it is that you have planned for yourself while you're working at home. And you might find some positive things that you didn't expect. For some people, it really helps improve their communication skills because they have to be really clear. They have to plan in advance. They have to do things that maybe you haven't done before. So you might see an increase in that. You are lessening your environmental footprint. If you are not commuting to work, you are really making a positive difference. So you could feel good about that. You might become a better time manager. And a lot of us are becoming better time managers as we're putting together these plans and changing our blueprints to really let us be as effective as possible. And we're finding that we can be extremely productive. And the last thing is, for some people, it allows them to save money. And so if you try to look at the positives or the good things that are happening, even though I know that there are bad things happening every day around us, but if we can focus on what some of those positives are, it'll still allow us to feel good about our contributions and what we're able to do. So I hope you found this information helpful and useful. And if you have any questions, you can contact Insight Wellness Works, and they will be happy to help you.